Hey, welcome to another video. This one's on Brawlhalla, and it's going to be a special video because it's a guide on Katars. One thing I do want to say first is that I am not a diamond, I'm a platinum, and so I'm not the best. Nowhere near the best. But I'm just going to give a guide to people who are getting into the game and they want to play Katars. Yeah, I explain how Katars are played and and explain the moves and give some good combo starters and even some strings that you can practice on. But first thing I want to get into is just the quick overview of the Katars. So I have the Katars right here. They're short little daggers. Katars are daggers, two little knives. They're fast. They're supposed to be fast, and they're very string reliant. As in, they're weapons that don't rely on just come over here, hit, and run away. You could win a game like that, except it would be really hard. It's reliant on you hit them and you continue to hit them and continue to hit them. You could easily build up damage that way. Katars were made for stringing. That's the basically only reason that they're here, because they don't deal any damage really. They're not that powerful, but they're for stringing. Single hits with Katars is not going to get you much anywhere, but strings, that's what you want. So I'm going to go over every Katar move minus the SIGs, because I'm Ragnar and Katar SIGs are relative to the person you play. I'm just Ragnar because Ragnar's my favorite legend and he has Katars, and that's why I'm doing this Katar guide. And so first we'll start off with the neutral light. This one hits him straight up, and I'll get into this being a string starter later, but this one does about 13.4 damage, which again, that's not that much, but in a string that's quite a bit. It used in a string, it can be used to deal quite a bit of damage. So yeah, that one hits him straight up. The next one is side light, like this. There is a disadvantage to this move, because if you miss, there's a lot of recovery time that could be punishable. Unlike this one, you can quickly jump out of the way. This one, you can't really jump out of the way immediately. But if you do land it, I'll get more into this later, like I said earlier, but it's a really good string starter, so it's probably the second most used move with Katars is side light. It does about the same damage. It does exactly the same damage as this, about 13.4 damage. Yep. But then the next move is downlight. It does 12.3 damage. This move, not that move. This move is not used that much to just run up and hit him, because it's such a pinpoint attack. It's hard to run up and get him exactly, but if you can pinpoint that, if you can get him like that, then you could do some strings, but again, I'll get to that later. It's a move that hits them up and you travel up with them, unlike this move. You're still down and they fly up. And this move also tosses them higher. This one, it tosses them a little bit lower, but you also go up with them, which that can lead to good strings. But again, I will get to that later. Now we're on to that was all the lights on the ground. Now we're going to do the air, dare, and nair. So we're going to start with the nair, which this is a good move, and this is the most used move with Katars, because it's just a big surrounding attack that you can just jump up and you can just jump up and hit him with. So if they're off the edge, you just go like that, or okay, he's over there, jump up, hit him like that. It doesn't do that much damage, but if you use this a lot, it builds up. So it's just a quick jump and holding and getting him. Now I'm gonna get to that second move, that move I just did right there. Not that one, this one. This is probably the hardest. It's one of the hardest attacking moves with Katars, but it's also a very good move because it spikes them. especially with high percent, and so it's really good for using when they're close to edge, so you can hit them off. So they go off the edge and you hit them and they'll fly down. So it's a good spiking move. You don't use it that much at light percents. There is basically only one string you can build off of it, one follow up to go off of this move. That is good on dodge frames, so it's not used that much until they're at higher percents to hit them off. And it's very good at doing that, especially when you're down here. They don't really have a chance. Also, this neutral light is really good off stage, because it's a big all-around attack, and you just go up to them and hit them. So it's really good. Now is down air. This one is a hard-hitting attack if you can hit all of them. See, that did 23 damage. So this is a really good attack for building up damage. But then at the same time, you can just tap them at the end and it does like 2 damage. It's really weird. This move is really good for leading into attacks. It's really good for getting them while you're above them and they're falling. You can just come down and hit them. And this is also, I will get to this later, this is also a really good string starter. And it's good for off stage because you can swoop down and hit them and it knocks them further down. Along with this and this. Basically all Katar moves are perfect off stage. It's a good off stage weapon. But while we're focusing on the down, I forgot to mention one thing. While I have the bot jumping, this is a good time. This move, I said that it's not best for just running up and hitting them, even though it's not good for that if they are falling and you are on the ground. So down air is good if you're above them and they're falling. If they're falling and you're below them, a down light is a good way to catch them. Or just a jump neutral, but I think a good catching move is to hit them with a down light, because then that will lead into a bunch of other strings that could be really good. Besides for that, you don't really use them except to use the down lights except in strings and to hit them when they're falling. Now the last two moves are two different types of moves for all weapons. It's the recovery and ground pound. The recovery for Katars is it does quite a bit of damage, and its attack wise way is pretty good, especially if you do that jump. If you do this and jump into it, that's a good way to use it to attack. It's also really good for recovering. It's a pretty big recovery. It's not the biggest, of course, because of lances, but it can get you back up. And then it has a nice, it also has just that nice powerful thing to help you in strings with. Now the ground pound, this is one of also the hardest hitting moves because it does close to 20 damage. But besides for that, you don't really use that on stage. You never really jump over them and hit them. It's really used for swooping down off the edge. It's really fast. That's what's good about them. It fits in with the Katars, with all the Katar moveset being really quick, and so it helps. It's a good way to kill with. If they're off the edge, you just jump. Although, if you miss, it's a little bad because then you're all the way down here and you can get punished. But that's the same for every ground pound. But so you don't really use this unless you know you're gonna hit them, because if you miss, they can turn around and gimp you, and that will be really sad. So now I'm gonna get into string starters, the good attacks for starting strings. Every attack can start a string, but there's way better ones than others. I think the best is being this side light. That's why I say it's the second most used, because it's a good follow-up. Because what I just did right there, that was a true combo. It's just the side light into down light. But when you do this, the higher percent they have, you will have to dodge. You would have to dash to catch them with the down light. It'll still be a true combo though, so it's really good. I always use it though. I always use it so then it's a guarantee. it just helps with, even if they're at lower percents, it just kind of helps when you do the dash. So always dash when after that first attack to dash into the downlight. But the sidelight is a really good starter. The downlight, this one is also really good because it can also lead into this. But you're having that small dodge window. It's not too bad. Like that one I did earlier, it said 1. See right there, dodge window 1. But then it could also lead into the one I just did right there. And so you've got 3 attacks that are basically back-to-back, almost perfect string, perfect combo. You can also, with the downlight, I mean, you can do this combo, the downlight, down air, downlight. And you can get a true combo on it if you come across their head right about right here, and then bounce up. That will be a true combo. If you hit them at their feet, it won't be a true combo. Right there will be a true combo if you do it correct. So next is neutral light. This one again hits them up, so that gives you a chance for downlight or recovery like I did earlier. But that's basically it. You could you could also do this or jump up downlight, but that one's not that good because it's a very big dodge frame. I think the best option is this or the recovery. The recovery is a good kill option. The neutral to recovery, that's a good kill option. Usually all neutral SIGs with Katars are perfect lead ups from that, although it is a big dodge frame. So I think it's best just to stick with these 3. And then if you want to, if the person you're playing against doesn't dodge that well, or if you catch a dodge, that can lead back into this and then into other strings. The air attacks, all of them, this one, I think I already went over this. It's a good string starter because it leads into a bunch of things. Side air is good because it's fine because it could lead, depending where you hit them. If you hit them close to the ground, you can lead with a dodge downlight. If you hit them a little bit higher, you can lead up with a down air. But I can't do it like that. But again, that's not. You usually do that when you're up here, so then they're falling, and then you hit them down like that. But side air is not the best move to start strings with, although you can. But it's better to use other moves. Neutral air. Neutral air is not the best because it's any direction. Neutral air, if you build a string off of it, it's all about reading where they're going to go, and so that's not the easiest thing to do. And like the side air, like the side air, the neutral air is a good ender. It's an end move for a string. So side air is good to spike them off the edge at the end of a string, or neutral air is just good to hit them out. Like you can do that. It's like that. It's the end of a string. The recovery, I'm gonna get into that now. It's not good for starting a string just because it has so much knockback. See, you can possibly go to another. You can do. Whoops. You can do recovery, or recovery. And you can kind of hit him with a third one, but it's not that good. But that recoveries can only really lead into themselves. They kind of work into a jump air or a jump side air, and but then it's hard to build off of that because you're high in the air and it just doesn't really work. So recovery is not the best string starter option. It's a good kill option though. Ground pound. There's not much to do with this one except a recovery afterwards, or a Sayer recovery or something like that. But I think the best option would be a recovery afterwards. But again, you don't really use that on stage because it's just not. It's hard to land a ground pound just out of the blue. It's usually off stage, and ground pounds do so much knockback like the recovery that it's hard to build a string off of that. So ground pound and recovery are not the best options for string starters. Now I believe I went over every move. If I didn't, then I'm sorry. Next is just general strings. Again, this is a good string starter. This is a good string starter, and that's what I'm going to be mainly working with because those are the easiest to land. With the side to down light, it's you basically at the beginning of the game you need to do that move and see where the person dodges, and then where you see them dodge, sometimes they usually dodge there all the time. One of the most common things to do with that move is to dodge down. And what you do if they dodge down is you just come over here and do a neutral light. And then you've cut their dodge. And so then you can unload a big string on them so then they can't do anything. And then you built up so much damage that they can't do anything. Because you... again, Katars are all about reading their dodge. It's very important to do that. There's so much things to do after that downlight. You can get them with a recovery. The best thing to do with the recovery though is to reverse it like that, because it's basically a 100% hit. Now if they dodge up to the right or up to the left, what you want to do is you want to come up, then you want to do a gravity cancel downlight in the direction that they dodge. So if they dodge to the upright after you do the downlight, that way you want to go ahead and gravity cancel and downlight again. And then if they dodge to the up left, then you want to do the opposite and turn around and get them with the gravity cancel downlight. Another thing to do is if they spot dodge, the best thing to do is to, after you do the downlight, drop down as quick as you can, turn around, downlight again in the opposite direction, and then after that you've got their dodge, and then you can just do so much stuff. If you keep in the air, then you're good, but you don't have to keep in the air because a lot of the attacks are so quick together that they can't really dodge out. So you want to come around like that. So it's just, but you've got to make sure you land on the ground like that. See, the dodge frame is really high, but you use that if they spot dodge, which a spot dodge is another way a common way to get out of a string after this, because this is a true combo, so they'll be spamming dodge after that while you're in the middle of this. And then so after that move, they don't want to be in a Katar string because it deals a lot of damage. But after that, they'll do a spot dodge or a dodge down or a dodge up because they don't want to get in a big string. So that's the chance where you read their dodge, and then you can still get them in the string, and so they failed what they wanted to do. So a good way is that for a new spot dodge. And then after that, you can one of my favorite ways to follow up with that is to jump nair, and then they since you jumped, you're hitting them with the bottom of the attack, which they go down, then they bounce back up, then you can get them with the downlight, and then you're back in the downlight, and you can do this again, and then you can even copy it again and get them again. It's a big repeat, but you can't really get that far because their percentage gets too high or they dodge out. But it's a really good attack. It's kind of hard to land because of that jump. Sayer is a little bit hard to do. But besides for that, it's a really good combo. But you must hit that attack. See, that hit the top of him because I didn't jump. See, I've got to make sure to jump, or else it will not work. See right there, that was, you could just, after that, I went to this neutral recovery because he was at higher percent. The recovery would do a lot more damage, and so as you saw there, I landed the jump neutral. That didn't take too long to land, but then you can always go back into the down, and then you can go back into this, but it's just whatever you want to do after that. It's Katars are a very impromptu string weapon. It's just wherever they go, you got to read it and then hit them. and then read the next where they go next, and then again, it's a very weapon that relies on reading and stringing. Another thing that with Katars is, yes, big strings are what you need, but big strings are not always accessible because they always dodge out of them or something. So quick strings, just small strings, are very needed, and one of the best ones are, again, starting up with this and then just going into a recovery, because it's just quick and it's hard to dodge out of because it's very tight dodge frames. After that, a lot of good ones are from this. See, that's a good, just quick combo. You could even go that route. You could go the neutral down recovery. That's also a good string. But there's many others, but I'm not going to cover them all because Katars, strings are good foundation. Planned out strings are good foundation, but it's really about just reading and hitting where they go and following where they go to hit them, and then start stringing them. That's all what Katars are about. Another good string is, this one's just for fun. A lot of downlights, and what you got to do though is you've got to make sure you tap them. Don't get on them and hit them like that. You don't want to be on top of them when you hit them, because then that puts them right in front of you, which is not what you want. You want them to be far away from you for this to land. So this is, you tap them, and then you go down light, down air, down light, gravity cancel, and gravity cancel, down light in the opposite direction, and then you can build off of that however you want. That's about the end, and then that's where it can separate. But you can separate anywhere in that you want, but it's just fun to land this. See, I normally do a neutral air because it's a good ender, like I said. But as you can see, it's just a fun string to do because it's just a bunch of down lights, and it's not that hard to land. But as you can see, there's a 4 and an 8. I think the first two are I think those two right there are undodgeable. So if you catch their dodge, it's good to go into this because there is really no way to dodge those two. Well, that's it for this guide on Katars. It's not the most in-depth. It's just a quick guide for beginners to get an idea on what Katars are. Katars are my favorite weapon in the whole game just because they're quick, and I like quick. I choose I'll do probably a guide on Ragnar and a guide on Axe, because that's what Ragnar is. For Ragnar, I choose this attack speed stance, the dexterity stance, just because I like having that extra speed with attacking. But if you choose to go with Katars, make sure you understand that it relies on a bunch of reading, catching people's dodges, and strings. Don't run up with Katars, hit them, and run away. It's all about stringing them until it builds up so much damage that you can then start using you can start doing the recovery to kill them quicker. But again, it's all about reading. So see you on the next episode.